We're joined today by swimming head coach Rick Horr before they depart to Boston for the GNAC Championship swim meet at Simmons College. Coach, just open-ended question here. What do you expect from your men's and women's teams going into the weekend?
Pretty much what I typically expect out of any championship meet. We're going to go in, we're going to give it our best. We've worked really hard the first half of the season getting ready for this meet. We're prepared. We've gone over a lot of the little stuff, the racing techniques, getting themselves mentally and physically prepared. And you know, we approach every meet, but probably the championship meets, the most important aspect is to give the best effort they possibly can every time they're in the water, and give 100% support to the teammates if they're not in the pool. Be loud, be proud, you know. So I mean, that's been my philosophy from day one 17 years ago, and that's how it is now. So
Great. And this will be the second year that the men's swim,
yes,
correct, in the GNAC. It's like an invitational championship event. Just kind of talk about how that works.
Well, well, when I first got here, it was the women's only for the first 3 years, and there was a big push to try to get the men's programs involved. Out of the 7 teams that are there for the women, only 4 have men, and we're pushing hard to try to get GNAC to sponsor the men's programs. But this is a good way to bring those programs together. You know, those of us such as our program, we train together, we swim together in dual meets, we swim the end of the season championships together, so it was always kind of awkward this weekend coming up in that, you know, I was focusing with the women trying to get ready for a championship meet, and the men were just kind of training through the rest of the semester, and it was always a, hey, we'll see you on Monday type of mentality. So it's been a big push. It was really interesting last year. They brought a lot of energy to the meet. And actually kind of slowed it down a little bit, so it allowed the women a little bit of rest between some of their events. I personally think it went great, and I look forward to it being even better this year after having 1 year under our belt with both programs there. So
Now, as far as the women, a lot of new faces this year. Of course, new faces around the conference. It's the nature of college sports. You know, talk about what you could expect from your young team this year going into the championship.
Honestly, I'm not totally sure. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to go out and give it our best. I mean, my first year here, I didn't know what to expect. We ended up walking away with second. You know, anything can happen at these meets. You know, just because some kids are seeded first or second in their event going into the weekend, they could end up third or fourth. And things change. Point values change throughout the weekend. You know, I don't think we're deep enough to take down some of the top teams like Simmons and Elms and kind of get in the mix there. But I think we're going to be pretty much where we've been over the last couple of years, middle of the pack, causing some problems for those top teams to try to pull away. And that's been sort of our role, and I think that's going to be our role this year. I expect that we'll have several personal best swims. I wouldn't be surprised to see some women's records be broken, and you know, and even be in the mix to win some of the events. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but I'm kind of going into it with sort of an open-ended expectation of we're going to take what we can get. So.
And the men's side?
Men's side is similar, where this is only the second year. We're trying to get some tendencies as far as what the other schools do. You know, it's sort of a mid-season championship, so you don't quite know where other coaches are going to put some of the swimmers in. So we took the approach this year of what event do you feel most comfortable swimming and confident going into. And that's how we formulated what events they were going to swim. We are going to be in the running for some wins as far as individual events and even possibly some of the relays. We're going to be in the mix, and if we can't be up top, we're going to be the thorn in the side of the people that are trying to pull away. So we'll try to focus on that aspect for the men.
Now, like you said, this championship's in the middle of the season. Talk about how you get your swimmers ready. So, like, you've only had 3 meets so far. How do you get them ready for a championship kind of early in the season?
It's difficult. That's something that was very different from when I came up to this level from the high school side of things. We used to have conference championships a week or two before the state meet, and then we had the state meet. When I was at UNE, we had the Commonwealth Coast Conference meet midway through, so I kind of knew what to expect when I came here with the GNAC meet. It's difficult when you've got young swimmers because they go, a championship meet so early. But we've been in the pool long enough. We kind of approach it as far as don't expect to have your end of the season speed yet, but it's a chance for them to kind of ramp up midway through the year. We're not tapering like we do for the end of the season, where you kind of back way off, and that's your peak. You go for that end of the swim meet, similar to like the Olympics. Michael Phelps trains for the Olympics. We train for New England's, and this is our chance for, all right, we're going to back off a little bit, we're going to rest you, and it's a good measuring stick of where we might end up later on for New England. So, it's also a chance for us to build, come New England time, off of the experiences from a mid-season championship. Some kids aren't always aware of how at this level trials and finals meets work and this, that, and the other, but they get that out of the way now, and then in February we've got New England's, and it's pretty much the same thing, just on a larger scale with 22, 23 teams.
Right.
So
now, for those that don't really know a lot about swimming, how does it work in that you can only swim in a certain amount of events with relays, individual events, and things like that, in a 2-day meet? What are some of those rules?
Specifically for this meet, each swimmer is allowed a maximum of 6 events, with no more than 4 being individual. So you've got to kind of play that role of what events are on which days. Do we want to swim someone 3 times individually on Saturday and once on Sunday? All the while you've got to look at how the meet is set up, because you have a morning session where you swim. Everyone swims. This particular meet, there's only one set of finals, so the top 8 go back in the evening and swim again. So it's pretty much like we're swimming 2 swim meets, Saturday and Sunday. For those swimmers that make the top 8 in the morning, they'll go and they'll probably want to get the most amount of rest in the little bit of a break that we get. The folks that swim in the morning that don't make it back, there are chances, there are some alternate positions in this, that, and the other. If somebody were to scratch, they could move in. So it's if you can't make top 8, you've got to try to make 9 or 10, just on that off chance something happens. It's really, a lot of people don't like the trials and finals formats. I think some of the kids don't like it, but in essence, it's it really kind of brings the top athletes through to score for your team. And it does get interesting year to year, because every event changes a little bit, and if you have a bad race in the morning, you could be left out in the evening. There's a saying that you break records in the morning and you win championships in the evening. So you've got to give it everything you can in the morning so that you can come back and swim at night. And I've seen way too many times. Not necessarily. I've seen it once on one of my teams, but other schools you see somebody trying to take it easy, trying to rest for the evening, and either they get out of the championship final and don't come back at all, or it just
it's a dangerous game to play.
It is a very dangerous game, and that's why I think, going back to the question as far as how do you get the kids ready, you basically approach it of, the meet is basically in the morning. You swim as hard as you can. You try to get into that top 8, and then whatever happens at night happens.
Right.
So, don't worry about the evening. You got to get through the morning first.
So obviously there's a lot of strategy involved, not only from what the swimmers are doing in the prelims and then the finals, but from a coaching standpoint. I know you spend a lot of time looking at what other schools are doing to see their times and where you're going to put your swimmers. Can you speak on that topic?
Well, our the NESDA puts out a weekly top 32 report, which shows the top 32 times swam for that particular well since the beginning of the season. You can kind of keep an eye on maybe what kids are swimming the same event multiple times. Maybe they're working on something a little different. There are swimmers out there that Coach Pierce and I know are definitive. That's their event, and then all of a sudden you start seeing them swim a couple of different things. Well, maybe that's GNAC. Maybe they're looking for something maybe a little out of the ordinary. It's definitely stats based. You got to really kind of keep an eye on some things, but when you go into it, you have a list of seeds as far as 1 through whatever. I have yet to ever be at a meet where 1 through whatever stuck the same exact way. Anything can happen. Someone can have the greatest meet of their entire life. Other people can have the worst day of their entire life, and it's just what it is. But as long as you can go in and be prepared and be ready to go fast in the morning, pretty much that's all that matters.
Now, this will be, aside from the New England's in February, this will be the only time that your team gets to have an overnight travel.
Yep.
And now you're down in Boston. I'm sure that your athletes look forward to this trip for that reason. It's an exciting trip, and you get out of Maine and you
get away.
Yeah, get away. Just kind of talk about some of the things that maybe you do as a team away from the swim meet.
Well, that's what's different about, I think, a lot of other sports, in that you travel down, you maybe have a quick practice or run through, and then you've got some free time, and then you play the game, and then you get some free time. We're booked solid.
Yeah.
I mean, we get there tomorrow morning, and we're warming up at 8:30 in the morning, and then trials start at 10:30, and we're done about 1. We'll go take a break, and we're back in the water at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Finals start at 6, and then we're done at 8.
Oh, my.
So then you run and get dinner, you go to bed, and you get up and you do it all over again on Sunday. So, it sounds glamorous, but it's but you're at a swim meet basically the entire weekend. But what I do enjoy about it is this is always the point in time where the team has started to gel, started to come together. But this is the moment where you really know if this team is going to be behind each other 100%. It really forces them to kind of come together, and they do that on campus. They're already together, but I know Coach Pierce and I see a distinct difference after this weekend as far as how close-knit the team is, just because of everything that they go through. It's a long weekend, it's a fun weekend, and there's just, you're pulling for your teammates, and you're exhausted, and it's that energy each other gives that really pulls them through. So.
All right, well, great, Coach. Thanks so much for your time. I know you're headed off to practice here, your final one before the GNACs, and we'll definitely be following and see how you guys do. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.